The massive ship hung in the sky above London like a metal cloud. It had been there for 3 days. News teams from every country pointed their cameras up. World leaders held emergency meetings, and Captain June Kim of the British Special Air Service watched it all with quiet focus. "They want to talk," said Admiral Tejo Park, sliding a folder across the table. "And they want to see what we can do." June opened the folder. Inside were photos of the aliens. Tall, blue-skinned beings, with 4 arms and smooth faces. They called themselves the Galactic Empire. They ruled 500 worlds across 3 star systems. And now they had found Earth. "Why me?" asked June. Admiral Park smiled. "Because you're the best we have. 20 years in the SAS. Combat experience in 12 countries. Survival skills that border on supernatural. The Americans are sending their Navy SEALs. The Russians their Spetsnaz. We're sending you." June nodded once. He was not a man of many words. 3 days later, he stood with representatives from 23 of Earth's elite fighting forces. They had gathered in a large field outside of London. The aliens had set up a viewing stand where their leaders sat watching. Supreme Commander Hansol was not impressed. He sat with his 4 arms crossed over his chest, looking down at the humans with 6 yellow eyes. "These are your best warriors?" he asked through a translation device. His voice was deep and rumbled like distant thunder. "They are," said the UN Secretary General. "Each has been chosen from our most elite units." Hansol's mouth formed what might have been a smile. "Show me." One by one, the human soldiers demonstrated their skills. American SEALs showed their shooting accuracy. Russian Spetsnaz displayed hand-to-hand combat. Israeli commandos ran through hostage rescue drills. French Foreign Legion soldiers demonstrated survival techniques. Through it all, Hansol watched, with growing amusement. His aide, Lieutenant Subin, leaned over to whisper something, and Hansol laughed out loud. "Is something funny?" asked Admiral Park. "Forgive me," said Hansol, not sounding sorry at all. "It's just that children on our homeworld play with toys more advanced than your best weapons. And your tactics, they are so primitive." The UN Secretary General's face turned red, but he kept his voice calm. "We understand that your technology is far beyond ours, but our soldiers have other qualities." "Such as?" Hansol raised what would have been an eyebrow if he had any. "Adaptability, determination, the ability to overcome impossible odds." Hansol waved one of his 4 hands dismissively. "Every species says this about themselves, yet none have resisted the Empire for more than a few days. Your weapons are simple metal projectiles and explosives. We have energy shields that can stop them all." It was June's turn to demonstrate. He stepped forward, dressed in simple combat fatigues. No fancy equipment, just a standard rifle, a knife, and a small pack. "And what will this one show us?" Hansol asked, sounding bored. "Captain Kim will demonstrate survival and evasion techniques," Admiral Park explained. Hansol yawned. "Very well." June moved to the center of the field. 5 other soldiers took positions around him, playing the role of hunters. The demonstration began. Within seconds, June had disappeared. The 5 soldiers searched, but could not find him. The aliens leaned forward in their seats, suddenly interested. One by one, the 5 soldiers were eliminated, as June moved silently among them. He used the terrain, the shadows, and even the sound of the wind to mask his movements. In less than 10 minutes, all 5 soldiers lay on the ground, tagged with training markers. June emerged from behind the aliens' own viewing stand. He had somehow circled behind them without anyone noticing. Hansol's yellow eyes widened slightly. "Interesting trick," he said, trying to sound unimpressed, "but hardly useful in real combat against our forces." Admiral Park noticed something in Hansol's voice, a tiny hint of uncertainty that hadn't been there before. After the demonstrations, the aliens invited Earth's representatives aboard their ship. The inside was like a palace made of metal and light. Hallways stretched for what seemed like miles. Rooms were bigger than football fields. In one such room, they all gathered for a meal. The aliens ate strange blue fruits while the humans were given food that looked like chicken but tasted like fish. Han Sol stood to make a speech. "We welcome Earth to the galactic community," he said. "We offer trade, technology, and protection. Your world will benefit greatly from our guidance." "Admiral," Park listened carefully to the words, protection, guidance. These were not the words of equal partners. "And what do you want in return?" asked the American general. "Very little," said Han Sol. "Resources, some of your unique plant and animal life, and perhaps," he paused, "a cultural exchange. We would like to learn more about your military forces." Admiral Park caught June's eye across the room. They both knew what this meant. The aliens wanted to study Earth's defenses up close. "We propose," continued Han Sol, "that one of your soldiers comes to our Central Military Academy to share human tactics, and in return we will share some of our basic technology." The UN representatives huddled together, discussing the offer. Most thought it was generous. A few were suspicious. Admiral Park pulled June aside. "They're not impressed with us," he whispered. "They think we're primitive, weak." "Yes," said June simply. "But you noticed how Han Sol reacted during your demonstration? That moment of surprise?" June nodded. "They don't understand us," continued Admiral Park. "They have better technology, but they've relied on it for too long. They've forgotten what it means to adapt, to overcome." "You want me to go," said June. It wasn't a question. Admiral Park nodded. "Show them what humans can really do, not with fancy weapons or ships, but with this." He tapped his temple. Later, as the Earth representatives prepared to leave the alien ship, Han Sol approached June. The alien commander towered over the human soldier. "I understand you will be joining us for the cultural exchange," Han Sol said, looking down at June. "Yes," said June. "Our academy is the finest in the galaxy. Our soldiers train with weapons you cannot imagine. Our tactics have conquered hundreds of worlds." Han Sol's voice carried a clear message. "You are nothing compared to us." June looked up at the alien commander. His face showed no emotion, but his eyes were sharp and clear. "I look forward to learning," he said quietly. Han Sol laughed. "And we look forward to teaching you your place in the galaxy, human." As the Earth representatives headed back to their planet, Lieutenant Subin approached Han Sol. "Why did you request this specific human?" Subin asked. Han Sol watched Earth growing smaller through the viewport. "Did you see how the others deferred to him? How they respected him? He may be physically unimpressive, but the others see something in him. I want to know what that is. And if he is more capable than he appears?" Han Sol laughed again. "One human against the might of the Empire. What could he possibly do?" Little did Han Sol know, as their ship accelerated away from Earth, that he had just invited the most dangerous kind of human into the heart of his military, one with nothing to prove and everything to teach. The military academy of the Galactic Empire floated in space like a giant metal star. 5 pointed arms stretched out from a central hub, each arm bigger than the largest city on Earth. Jun Kim looked out the window of the small transport ship as they approached. His face showed nothing, but he took in every detail. "Impressive, isn't it?" asked Lieutenant Subin, who had been assigned as Jun's guide. "Over 1 million soldiers train here at any given time, the finest warriors in the galaxy." Jun nodded. "Very big," he said simply. The transport docked at one of the smaller bays. Jun grabbed his one small bag and followed Subin into the academy. The ceilings were 3 times taller than needed for humans. The hallway stretched so far that they seemed to disappear into the distance. Everything was made of a smooth, dark metal that hummed softly. "You will meet Commander Jiwoo," said Subin. "He is in charge of new recruit training. He will evaluate your skills." The way Subin said this made it clear that the evaluation would not be easy. Commander Jiwoo waited in a large room with walls that seemed to shift and change color. He was taller than Han Sol, with muscles that bulged under his blue skin. All four of his arms ended in hands that looked strong enough to crush stone. "So this is the human warrior," said Ji-woo, walking around June in a circle. "Smaller than I expected." June stood straight, looking ahead. 20 years in the military had taught him how to deal with those who tried to intimidate him. "Can it speak?" Ji-woo asked Subin, as if June wasn't there. "I can speak," said June, his voice calm and steady. Ji-woo stopped in front of him. "Good. Then you can tell me what weapons you were trained in." "Rifle, pistol, knife, hands." Ji-woo laughed, a deep booming sound. "How primitive. Our youngest cadets train with plasma rifles and gravity disruptors." June said nothing. "Tomorrow," continued Ji-woo, "you will join our basic training session. We will see what Earth's special forces are capable of." The way he said special forces made it sound like a joke. Subin showed June to a small room where he would stay. By alien standards, it was tiny, but for June it was more than enough. He placed his bag on the bed and began to unpack his few belongings. "The commander is not easy on new recruits," said Subin, "especially those from less advanced worlds." "I understand," said June. Subin seemed surprised by June's calm. "You are not worried?" June looked at the alien with steady eyes. "I did not come here to have an easy time." Later that night, as June was checking his equipment, there was a soft knock at his door. When he opened it, a young alien soldier stood there looking nervous. He was smaller than the others June had seen, with lighter blue skin. "I am Private Do-yoon," the alien said in a low voice. "May I come in?" June stepped aside, allowing the young soldier to enter. "I wanted to warn you," said Do-yoon, glancing at the door as if afraid someone might be listening. "Commander Ji-woo has prepared special tests for you tomorrow. Tests designed for you to fail." "Why are you telling me this?" asked June. Do-yoon looked down. "I have studied Earth, your history, your wars. While others laugh at your primitive technology, I see something else, something we have lost." "And what is that?" "The ability to adapt, to survive against the odds." Do-yoon looked up at June. "Our empire has conquered so easily for so long that we have forgotten what it means to struggle." June nodded slowly. "Thank you for the warning." After Do-yoon left, June sat on his bed and closed his eyes. He had been in tough situations before. Outnumbered, outgunned. This would be no different. The next morning, June arrived at the training area. It was a massive space that could change to create different environments. Currently, it looked like a rocky landscape with steep cliffs and narrow paths. Commander Ji-woo stood with a group of alien soldiers who all looked at June with curiosity or contempt. General Hyun-woo, a senior military leader June had not met before, was also there to observe. "Today we will test the human's physical capabilities," announced Ji-woo. "First, a simple endurance run." The simple run turned out to be a 20-mile course over rough terrain. The alien soldiers moved quickly on their long legs. June kept a steady pace, his face showing no strain even as sweat soaked his clothes. 3 aliens dropped out before the end. June finished 6th out of 15. Ji-woo's face showed surprise, quickly hidden. "Next, strength testing," said Ji-woo. The aliens easily lifted weights that would crush a human. When it was June's turn, Ji-woo set the weight machine to a level just beyond human capability. "This weight would challenge even our soldiers," he said with a smirk. June looked at the machine. "This is not a fair test," he said calmly. "Life is not fair, human," replied Ji-woo. June nodded. Then he moved to the machine and studied it for a moment. Instead of trying to lift the weight directly, he adjusted his position and used leverage to move it. The weight rose slowly but steadily. Ji-woo's smirk faded. The tests continued all day, each one designed to show human weakness. Each time, June found a way to complete the challenge. Not always the fastest, not always the strongest, but always finding a solution. By the end of the day, the alien soldiers were watching him with new eyes. General Hyun-woo spoke quietly with Ji-woo, who seemed angry. As June was leaving the training area, Private Do-yoon fell into step beside him. You did well today, said Do-yoon quietly. They are still testing the wrong things, replied June. What do you mean? They test strength, speed, how well I can use their technology. They should be testing this. June tapped his head. They will, said Do-yoon. General Hyunwoo was impressed. He has proposed a final challenge for you. What kind of challenge? Combat simulation. Against our best squad. June's face remained calm. How many? 12, led by elite squad leader Sung-min. They are the most decorated unit in the Empire. That evening, June was called to meet with General Hyunwoo. The general's office had large windows looking out into space, with Earth visible as a small blue dot in the distance. You have surprised us, Captain Kim, said Hyunwoo. Commander Jiwoo expected you to fail within the first hour. June said nothing. Tomorrow you will face our elite squad in combat simulation, continued Hyunwoo. The entire Empire will be watching. Supreme Commander Hansol himself will attend. What are the rules? Asked June. Simple. You against 12 of our best. The arena will have various terrains. The goal is to eliminate your opponents. Non-lethal, of course. And my equipment? You may use your own basic equipment. We would not want to confuse you with our advanced technology. Hyunwoo smiled, showing rows of small, sharp teeth. After the meeting, June returned to his room and began to prepare. He laid out his gear on the bed, combat fatigues, boots, a small pack with basic supplies. The aliens had allowed him to bring these items as a courtesy, believing they were no match for their advanced equipment. There was another knock at his door. This time it was Dr. Na Young, an alien scientist who had been observing him. I came to wish you luck, she said, and to tell you that the broadcast tomorrow will reach billions across the Empire. Why do you care? Asked June. Na Young tilted her head. Scientific curiosity. I want to see what happens when the unstoppable force meets the immovable object. As she left, June returned to his preparations. He studied the layout of the arena from the data provided. He checked and double-checked his equipment, and then he did something that would have surprised the aliens. He slept, deeply and peacefully, like a man with nothing to fear. The combat arena was massive. From above, it looked like a circle split into 4 different terrains: a dense forest, a rocky mountain area, a small town of metal buildings, and an open field. Thousands of alien spectators filled the seats surrounding. Screens bigger than buildings showed close-up views of the arena. Supreme Commander Hansol sat in a special box with General Hyunwoo and other high-ranking officials. Dr. Na Young sat nearby with monitoring equipment. She would track the humans' vital signs during the combat. This should be entertaining, said Hansol, leaning back in his large chair. How long do you think the human will last? The betting pools give him less than 10 minutes, replied General. Hyunwoo Hansol laughed. So generous. On the far side of the arena, elite squad leader Sung-min prepared his team. They wore sleek armor that shimmered with energy fields. Each carried what looked like rifles but fired stunning energy blasts instead of bullets. Sung-min was tall even for an alien, with dark blue skin and eyes that missed nothing. Remember, he told his squad, this is just for show. The human has basic weapons and no armor. Don't embarrass him too quickly. The soldiers laughed. They had all seen the videos of Earth's military, primitive, simple, no match for their technology. In a small room on the opposite side, June Kim prepared himself. He wore his standard combat fatigues in earth tones that would blend with the terrain. His pack contained only essential items. The aliens had allowed him a training knife and a rifle that fired marking rounds, the equivalent of paintballs, instead of bullets. Lieutenant Subin entered the room. It is time, he said. Are you ready? June nodded once. The rules are simple, said Subin. If you are hit with an energy blast, you are eliminated. If you mark an opponent with your weapon, they are eliminated. The match ends when all members of one side are eliminated. I understand, said June. Good luck, said Subin, not sounding like he meant it. The Empire is watching. June stepped out into the arena. The crowd's noise hit him like a wave. Thousands of alien voices, all excited to see the human defeated. The screens showed his face, calm and focused. Then they showed Sungmin's squad entering from the other side, their armor gleaming in the bright lights. A loud voice announced the beginning of the match. The two sides would start at opposite ends of the arena. They would have 10 seconds before the combat began. June looked across at the 12 alien soldiers. They stood tall and confident, their weapons ready. They were stronger, faster, and had better equipment. But June saw something else. They were overconfident. They expected an easy win. The countdown began. June took a deep breath and focused his mind. 3, 2, 1. The match began. Sungmin's squad moved forward in perfect formation, spreading out to cover the arena. But when they reached the spot where June had been standing, he was gone. "Where did he go?" asked Sungmin, scanning the area. The crowd murmured in confusion. The cameras searched but could not find the human. "He went into the forest section," said one of Sungmin's soldiers, pointing to tracks on the ground. "Split into teams of 2, ordered Sungmin. "Find him quickly." In his viewing box, Han Sol leaned forward. "Hiding already? Not very brave." "No," said Dr. Na Young, looking at her monitors. "Not hiding. Hunting." Deep in the artificial forest, June moved silently between trees. His years of training had taught him how to be invisible when needed. He found a spot with good cover and settled down to watch. 2 alien soldiers entered the forest, their energy, rifles ready. They moved confidently but made noise with every step. June stayed perfectly still, controlling his breathing just as he had been taught in SAS training. The aliens passed within 10 feet of him and never saw him. Once they were past, June moved. Quick, silent steps brought him behind the trailing alien. A single touch with his training knife left a bright mark on the alien's armor. "You are eliminated," said an automated voice from the alien's armor. The soldier froze in shock. Before the other alien could turn around, June had disappeared again. "What happened?" asked the second alien, spinning in circles. The eliminated soldier stood in place, too surprised to speak. Across the arena, similar scenes played out. June moved like a ghost between the different terrains. He never stayed in one place. He never attacked from the same direction twice. One by one, Sungmin's soldiers found themselves eliminated, often without ever seeing their attacker. In the viewing box, Han Sol's amusement turned to concern. "How is he doing this?" Dr. Na Young studied her monitors with growing interest. "His heart rate is elevated but controlled. His body is producing high levels of adrenaline, but he is using it effectively. It's fascinating." "It's impossible," said Han Sol. "He's just one human." "A human trained to survive and fight against stronger enemies," replied Na Young. "Look at his tactics. He's not trying to match their strength. He's using their weaknesses against them." On the screens, they watched as June set up simple traps using materials from his pack and the environment. One alien soldier stepped on a tripwire and fell forward. Before he could get up, a marking round from June's rifle hit him squarely in the back. "Eliminated," said the automated voice. By now, half of Sungmin's squad was out of the match. The remaining 6, including Sungmin himself, gathered in the town section of the arena. "This is unacceptable," said Sungmin, his voice angry. "He is making fools of us." "He never attacks directly," said one soldier. "He waits for us to make mistakes. Then we will force him to face us," decided Sungmin. "We will use the open field. No place to hide there." The remaining aliens moved to the open field section. The crowd, which had been laughing at the beginning, was now silent. They watched with growing interest as this single human systematically took apart an elite alien squad. In the forest, June saw the aliens' new strategy. They were trying to draw him into the open where he would have no cover. It was a good plan, but June had trained for this exact scenario. Instead of avoiding the open field, he moved to its edge. Then he lay down flat on his stomach and began to crawl forward, using only the short grass as cover. He moved inches at a time, so slowly that he barely seemed to be moving at all. The aliens scanned the field, looking for movement. They did not see the human slowly approaching. Their scanning equipment was designed to detect fast-moving targets or heat signatures. June's slow movement and controlled body temperature made him nearly invisible to their technology. When he was in position, June took aim with his rifle. One shot, one elimination. Then he moved to a new spot before firing again. The aliens began firing blindly at the areas where they thought the shots came from. But June was never there when their energy blast hit. Supreme Commander Hansel could not believe what he was seeing. "This is impossible," he repeated. "No," said Dr. Na Young. "This is adaptation. This is survival." In the arena, only Sung Min and one other alien remained. They stood back to back in the center of the open field, watching in all directions. "Show yourself, human," shouted Sung Min. "Face me directly if you have courage." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then June's voice came from somewhere in the field. "This is not about courage," he said calmly. "This is about winning." Two quick shots from different directions marked both remaining aliens. The match was over. June stood up from the grass just 20 meters from where Sung Min stood. He had been there the whole time, undetected. The arena was completely silent. Then, slowly, the alien spectators began to make a sound that might have been applause. On the big screens, June's face showed no emotion, no triumph, no celebration. He simply walked back toward the entrance, his mission complete. Supreme Commander Han Sol sat in stunned silence. For the first time in his long military career, he felt something new. He felt respect for a human. The day after the combat simulation, the entire Galactic Empire was talking about the human. Videos of the match had spread across all 500 worlds. Billions of alien citizens had watched as one human soldier defeated 12 of their elite warriors. June Kim sat alone in his room cleaning his equipment. He was neither proud nor excited about his victory. For him, it had simply been a mission to complete. 20 years in the SAS had taught him to stay calm, even after success. There was a knock at his door. When he opened it, he found Elite Squad, leader Sung Min standing there. The alien's face was hard to read, but his posture seemed less proud than before. "May I come in?" asked Sung Min. June stepped aside, allowing the much taller alien to enter the small room. Sung Min looked around at June's few possessions, neatly organized on the bed and table. "You fight differently than any species we have encountered," said Sung Min. "Finally, we adapt," replied June simply. "My squad has never been defeated, not in 50 combat simulations across 3 star systems." Sung Min's voice held no anger, only curiosity. "How did you do it?" June considered the question carefully. "Your soldiers rely too much on technology. They expect it to do the work for them. And humans do not. We use technology as a tool, not as a replacement for thinking." Sung Min nodded slowly. "You could have eliminated me much sooner, couldn't you?" June did not answer directly. In combat, timing is as important as technique. The alien commander seemed to understand what June was not saying. He had deliberately extended the match to demonstrate human capabilities more fully. "I would like to learn from you," said Sung Min, surprising June. "If you are willing to teach." Before June could answer, Lieutenant Subin arrived at the door. "Captain Kim," said Subin, sounding much more respectful than before. "Supreme Commander Hansol requests your presence immediately." June followed Subin through the hallways of the academy. The alien students and soldiers they passed stopped to stare at him. Some looked impressed, others seemed worried. They entered a large meeting room where Hansol sat with General Hyunwoo and several other high-ranking aliens. Admiral Tae-ho Park was also there, having arrived from Earth overnight. He gave June a small nod of approval. "Captain Kim," said Hansol, his deep voice echoing in the room, "your performance yesterday has caused quite a stir throughout the Empire." June stood at attention, saying nothing. "Some of my advisors believe you had some secret technology," continued Hansol. "Others think you had help. What do you say to this?" "No secret technology. No help," said June. "Just training and experience." Hansol studied him with all 6 yellow eyes. Dr. Na Young's monitors showed something interesting during the combat. Your body was under extreme stress, yet your performance improved. How is this possible? Humans evolved as persistence hunters, explained Admiral Park. Stress activates our survival instincts. Captain Kim has been trained to use this response, not fight against it. Hansel turned to Admiral Park. And are all humans capable of what we saw yesterday? No, admitted Admiral Park. Captain Kim represents the best of our special forces, but all humans have the potential to adapt and overcome challenges. It's in our nature. Hansel stood up and walked to a large window overlooking the academy grounds. For a long moment, he was silent. When we discovered Earth, he said finally, we saw a divided world with primitive technology. We assumed it would be like the 100 other worlds we have brought into the Empire. He turned back to face June and Admiral Park. We were wrong. The admission seemed to cost him something. His four hands clenched and unclenched. Supreme Commander, said General Hyunwoo, perhaps we should reconsider our approach to Earth. Han Sol nodded slowly. Yes. Instead of teachers, we should be partners. Admiral Park smiled slightly. Earth would welcome a true partnership. Later, that day, June stood with Admiral Park in a private room. The Admiral was smiling broadly now that they were alone. You've done it, June, said Admiral Park. The entire Empire is reassessing their view of humans. I just did my job, said June quietly. Your job has changed the course of human history, said Admiral Park. The Empire was planning to treat Earth as just another conquest. Now they're talking about a military alliance. What happens next? Asked June. The Empire wants to establish a joint training program, their technology combined with our adaptability and tactical thinking. Admiral Park put a hand on June's shoulder. And they want you to be the first instructor. June raised an eyebrow slightly, the most surprise he had shown since arriving at the academy. Me? Who better? Asked Admiral Park. You've earned their respect. Even Sung Min has requested to train under you. The next week was a blur of meetings and preparations. The Galactic Empire and Earth signed new agreements as equals, not as master and subject. Technology would be shared, trade routes would be established, and a new military training program would begin immediately. On the first day of the program, June stood before 20 alien soldiers, including Sung Min and Private Duyun. They were dressed in simplified versions of their usual armor, waiting to see what the human would teach them. Today, said June, we start with the basics. He led them outside to a training field where he had set up a simple obstacle course. Rain fell from artificial weather systems, turning the ground to mud. Run the course, said June. No technology, no weapons, just you. The aliens looked at each other in confusion. This was not the advanced combat training they had expected. This is beneath us, said one soldier. We have machines that can cross any terrain. And if the machines fail? Asked June. What then? The soldier had no answer. Adaptability begins with knowing what you can do without help, continued June. Run the course. Learn your limits. Then, we can exceed them. One by one, the alien soldiers began the course. They slipped in the mud. They struggled over walls. They fell into water pits, but they continued, pushing themselves in ways they never had before. Sung Min, covered in mud but determined, completed the course first. He approached June, breathing heavily. Is this how humans train? He asked. This is how we start, replied June. The body must be challenged before the mind can adapt. From a viewing platform above the training field, Supreme Commander Han Sol watched with General Hyunwoo and Admiral Park. Your Captain Kim's methods are unusual, said Han Sol. But effective, replied Admiral Park. This is how our special forces are built, not with technology, but with challenges that force them to adapt. Han Sol nodded slowly as he watched his elite soldiers struggling through the mud. We have conquered 500 worlds with our technology and strength. But perhaps, prompted Admiral Park. Perhaps we have forgotten what it means to overcome true adversity, finished Han Sol. Your world has faced challenges we cannot imagine. Ice ages, plagues, world wars. You have survived it all and emerged stronger. Below them, June walked alongside the alien soldiers, offering quiet advice as they tackled the obstacles again. "There is more to fighting than advanced weapons," said Han Solo, echoing June's earlier words. "Your people have been survivors for thousands of years. We would be wise to learn those lessons." Admiral Park smiled as he watched Earth's first true contribution to the Galactic Empire. Not technology, not resources, but the uniquely human ability to adapt and overcome. The Empire had scoffed at Earth's special forces until they faced an SAS operative. Now they would never underestimate humans again.